Welcome to the Tech Story Podcast, where storytellers kibitz about technology that makes us go, what's that about? Now introducing your host, Doug Thompson.
In this edition of Tech Story, again on a bit of a rant. I got a message from somebody on LinkedIn I just connected with, and they wanted me to endorse them. Don't do this, or you'll become the subject of a tech story. I want to talk about today etiquette. I guess I should be grateful to have this problem, but I had a message come in the other day asking me to endorse them, write an endorsement on the profile. And I had just connected with this person. I mean, I'm pretty open about connections. Unless you have Bitcoin or clearly it looks like a bot, then I'm probably not going to connect with you. I'll return. But otherwise, if you're in the industry and you posted and you've done some things on that one, then I generally will accept an invitation. There's several things that you should not do from an etiquette perspective. The first time being on, one of them, and my pet peeve, is asking me to do something when I don't know you before we've gotten to know each other. It's sort of like you just meet you meet somebody on a bus. In this case here, say I meet a woman on the bus and I ask them, hey, let's go on a date. You wouldn't do that in person, but somebody came in and asked me to endorse them. Now I have a reputation. It's kind of low sometimes. It's a reputation anyway to uphold. And when I really endorse people, if I believe in them, if I know them, if I think that they're actually pretty good about doing some things. So in this case here, this person, said, hey, will you endorse me? And Frank gave me a link to that. And I'm like, I replied, I wanted to be sort of mixed. Part of me wanted to just, ignore it. The other part wanted to go, hey, let me endorse you, and then make it a really bad one. But then the other one was, so I wrote back and I said, we just connected. What makes you think that it would be, I would be able to endorse you? I don't know anything about you. We haven't chatted. We haven't done anything. And so it's just ridiculous that they would actually come in and ask me to do that. So don't go in and do that. It's like, I don't do that to anybody. If I want somebody if I ask somebody to endorse me, which I have, I've gotten to know them. I've done work with them. I'm very specific about what I would like them to sort of talk about in the endorsement. Very cognizant of their time and very appreciative of what their time they invest in me. So, don't be that person. Don't do this. The social media is a great thing, and then you get access to people that you don't necessarily get access to normally, or they would have a gatekeeper, or you wouldn't know how to get a hold of them. So be responsible with all this power, and try to, if you want somebody, make sure that they do know you. It's like I just can't. I don't understand people that think like that. But on another note, personal note here, this is sort of my ranting, I guess, podcast, the tech story. There is no Saturday night about midnight. I had developed some tooth pain or pain in my upper jaw that was so bad that I woke my wife up about 12:45 and I said, hey, look, we need to go to the emergency room. Of course, it's always on a long weekend that this happens. And we went in. Luckily, the Saturday night rush had passed by because we got right in. And I'm thankful for that. And the doctor looked at it and gave me some pain meds, prescription for some penicillin in case there's an infection, and then told me, hey, look, go see your dentist first thing on Tuesday morning because it was a long weekend here. So I did that. I was on pain meds, rotating. I don't like medicating normally, but pain, I wouldn't wish tooth decay or tooth pain on my worst enemy. I see these shows, Tom Clancy or some of these other shows where they're extracting teeth to get information out of them. I'm pretty sure that I would simply just die or just go berserk and turn into the Hulk and just beat the crap out of somebody if somebody's trying to pull its teeth out. But anyway, I went to the dentist on Monday. I was a new patient. Luckily, got in. Said you have two options. One, you can sort of do a root canal and try to keep some of this stuff, or you could have the tooth pulled and then do an implant later. And I hate rework. If you're going to do something, do it right the first time. And this is my professional life. It's my personal life. And again, being somewhat of a sissy, I asked the doctor, I said, what's the least amount of times I'm going to have to see somebody? Which is the best approach for that? And he said, let's get it pulled. I said, sign me up. So went to the oral surgeon that afternoon. Luckily, they had somebody in. Gave me some Novocaine to deaden it, and came back about 10 minutes later after it soaked a little bit. I said, "Hey, I don't think this thing's dead yet," because I could still feel some things. So he's poking around, and there were still some hot areas. And he gave me a little bit more Novocaine, a little bit more. Finally, he says, "Man, well, that thing was really hot because I've given you enough Novocaine to like deaden a horse's mouth," which I've been called a horse's butt before, but first time being called a horse's mouth. But it worked. There was so much Novocaine, I think my eyelids and all started to become numb. I've never had that much, but I'm pretty sure he had his foot somewhere on my chin and was standing up on my chest trying to pull it out. I could feel my head going back and forth. 2 AC/DC songs later, if you want to know, Shoot the Thrill and Thunderstruck to overcome the noise of the drill. Tooth was removed, so I've got a gap there, which my tongue is finding every 5 minutes, but it's better. But now I end up with a swimmer's ear. This week has been sort of rough on letting it go. I'm approaching a milestone birthday, and that decade didn't want to give up easily. So that's my story this week. I'm human. I'm very fortunate to have great health care here and access to the health care, and I don't doubt that for a minute. I want to express my gratitude to those people that do this every day and were able to help me. These people were just the antithesis or opposite of that person that asked me to endorse them without even knowing me. So any of these people that helped me, yes, I would gladly endorse. And I think I'll go out and do a couple reviews for that. But what are your thoughts on endorsements? That would be an interesting question to have. How do you deal with those things? Are you sort of stingy with them? You just give them out willy-nilly? How do you ask for them? That's another important question that I'd like to know in these comments. I know this video will post and it'll come up later, but I'd really sort of like to know what's your viewpoints on this. Let's keep the discussion going. Hey, thanks for listening to the Tech Story Podcast, and it would really be helpful if you'd go out to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast and rate it. Give it a 5-star because it helps other people find the podcast. It really raises the visibility, and it would mean the world to me if you would do that.